When it comes to the Indigenous American community, I've been noticing for a while now that there's some type of low-key gatekeeping when it comes to who is who because of skin tones and features. And I know this is a discussion not everybody's going to see eye to eye with, but I do want to give my perspective on this, especially when it comes to the skin tone and the low-key colorism. So yeah, getting right into this. As you can see, I am a light-skinned person, and my genetic makeup, well, my whole DNA, my ancestry, a lot of my ancestors are Indigenous American, and they come in all complexions. And I have some pictures of them. I'm gonna post one in a bit here. Um, so for me, when it comes to this whole skin tone thing, I never thought it was going to be an issue because of my family background. And I thought it was obvious that we all come in different skin tones. And I'm not talking about like as far as being like mixed, but just straight up, just, one thing. And, I didn't think it was going to be an issue, but it is because I've been seeing some people on here talking about, even outside of YouTube, but just for the sake of the matter, I'm going to talk about people on YouTube. Um, I've been seeing people saying certain things about who is Indigenous, and when it comes to the Aboriginals, their talking points are like the real Indigenous Americans are dark skin, and yeah. And when it comes to, I'm not gonna talk about people from like the plains, like the Midwest. I don't have no ancestors from there, so I'm not gonna speak on them. Um, I don't really see them putting their 2 cents into this. I mean, I used to, but I don't really watch Indigenous videos because this is one of the reasons why. Um, but if they are talking about this, I don't think they should speak on people from like the Eastern Woodlands part of America because I don't know, they're not even from this part. But I do see people either say you're not Indigenous unless you look like the people from the Midwest, or you're not Indigenous if you're not dark skinned, and so on and so forth. And to me, it's just like, okay, we are not going to get nowhere if we keep doing this whole separation. Just to give a few reasonings of why I feel this whole separation between the dark skin and light skin is stupid, I'm going to talk about my family a little bit. So, when it comes to my father's side of the family, I am enrolled in a Tuscarora tribe, which is the Cape Fear Indians in North Carolina. And my dad, he is dark skinned. So when I told everybody that I was enrolled in a tribe on my dad's side, they were very surprised because my dad is dark skinned. But I was like, my dad's Indigenous. Stop that. It doesn't matter the complexion. That's my dad. He is Indigenous. His ancestors are Indigenous. Blah, 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 blah. So my dad is dark skinned. I don't know how, there's different levels of complexions. So when it comes to dark skin, there's like different levels of dark skin. Uh, my dad's like, I don't know, like a chocolate, a little bit darker than Milky Way. I don't know. So he's one of those complexions. His dad, his dad was dark skinned. Um, he had like loose curly hair. I remember him always keeping it in like a ponytail. He passed away in 2005. So if I can remember briefly, he always kept his hair in like a ponytail. But his father was dark skinned. His father's sister, however, she was light skinned. And they both had the same parents. So my grandfather was dark skinned, but his sister was light skinned. They're both the same. They both came from the same source. So how can you separate dark skin and light skin if you have some families that have both dark skin and light skin? They're the same thing, just different complexions. But it shouldn't really matter. My dad's mother, who's from Jersey, and the family disowned her for dating my grandfather. Um, but all I know is that her family is from Jersey, Burlington, New Jersey, last name Jackson. So if anybody's from Jersey and they're watching this and your last name is Jackson, we possibly family. But she was dark skinned, but her brother was light skinned. Same parents though. So here it is, you have a dark skinned sibling and a light skinned sibling, same parents. How can you separate the two? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, I find it stupid. And the more that I look at my father's, like his family's pictures that they still have, I see that there's light skins, brown skins, dark skins, all up in these family photos. So it's really hard to like separate the two. Another example that I can give is this person isn't family, but you know, I find this very fascinating. So my sister's baby daddy, he's light skinned and both his siblings are light skinned, but their parents are dark skinned. And here it is, the same thing. How can a dark skinned couple make light skinned babies and then just, you know, you can't separate that. And they look exactly like both of them. And yeah, I just find it stupid when I see this whole separation of gatekeeping of who is indigenous because of skin tones and even undertones. Like I've been seeing people, um there's a tribe, I think in Georgia. I forgot the name of this tribe. I don't even remember where I saw this video, but this person was talking about you're not a real indigenous unless you're like brown skin with a reddish undertone. And bro, I'm light skinned, but I do have like a reddish undertone. And you know, that just doesn't make any sense. Now on my mother's side, who has like a lot of indigenous ancestors as well, there is a ancestor that I have that came from Georgia, and we don't know exactly what tribe he's from, but we do know that he's from Georgia. His mother is from South Carolina, his father's from Georgia. um he I'm gonna post a picture here somewhere. He is, well, according to this picture, he looks light skinned to me. He is not biracial. He doesn't have a white parent whatsoever. I checked the records. I don't know how far back I can go to where I'll find a white ancestor, but as far as I know, this ancestor of mine doesn't have a white parent. Both of his parents was listed as like Negro or mulatto, no white person whatsoever. And just a little brief history on this person. For those who don't know, probably new to my channel. Okay, so on this particular side of the family, now this ancestor of mine, he dated a white woman and who was like my great great grandmother. And on this particular side, this is like the only white side in like my DNA. As far as I know, uh, she comes from, she is a descendant of a very wealthy white family down in Georgia, and they were plantation owners. Um, they got the land through like a Georgia lottery thing that was going on back in the day. Um, I was searching through records to see if I could find any like slaves that they owned, but I can't find diddly squat. So I'm still on the hunt for that. But yeah, she is a descendant of like um a plantation owner. I mean, her father, wasn't he just had a lot of money because of the line that he has came from. And long story short, she she was dating this indigenous man that, you know, here in this photo. And I don't think the family liked the idea that she was dating him, so they kind of like fled to Jersey, but later on they went back down to Georgia and was a part of his murder case because according to my family's history and like what I've seen in like the old paperwork, she shot him in the back of the head, and they like fled in the swamp somewhere and was found like hiding in their car. Um so yeah, there's like a big old murder mystery case behind that. She and like these two other white guys, they were plotting to take all of his money. He was selling his like house, the land or whatever for like $200,000, and that was like the early like 19 something. So 200,000 back in the day was like a lot, and his children were supposed to like all like split the money and go into like an oil company business, but this side of the family, she went to jail for a bit, but she paid her way out because she had a lot of money. So, it's a not to go into that, but I just thought it was like interesting to speak on. I had made a video about that before, but a family member of mine came across my video and was just like, take it down. So yeah, but this picture of my great great grandfather, he does not look dark skinned to me, and he's full on indigenous. So when it comes to the whole gatekeeping of who is who because of skin tone, I find that when it comes to being indigenous American, at least on the Eastern Woodland side, it's just we come in all complexions. Now, besides from the skin tone, I will say this. When it comes to the features, I didn't want to say this. I am very open minded to things, but the more that I meet people that are indigenous and talk to indigenous people and so on and so forth, I can't help to notice that we all kind of look the same in some aspects. Like everyone that I have spoken to, I see them and I'm just like, you look like you could be family. And I'm open minded to other looks, and yeah, but at the same time, I can't help to just notice a certain look that a lot of indigenous Americans share. So I'm kind of like leaning a little bit more towards like features, not more so the hair because you know there's been cases of indigenous Americans having loose hair and thick hair. So I'm not really like looking at that, but I am looking like at certain things like the nose and like of course the cheekbones, but like the nose, the eyes, whatever. I can't help but to notice that we all have like a specific look that any other black immigrant that has came here, I can see the difference between like a so-called Black American, um, a African, a Caribbean, like so it's not a coincidence to me that features may play a part in this, if that is making sense. Um, so I don't think skin tone is an issue, but when it comes to looking a certain way, that might play a part. Um, and when I think of features, I'm not like once again I'm not thinking about people from the plains because I don't know. I don't got no ancestors from there, so I can't speak on them. Um, so when I think of what an indigenous American looks like, I don't think about them per se. If y'all hear a bunch of jets flying above, don't mind that. I live in Staten Island, so we get planes flying everywhere because you got the airport in Jersey and then you got the airport in Queens. So we constantly get planes going left and right all the time passing this island. Recently they started launching like the whole jets over here, so it's like it's getting annoying. But to wrap this up, because it is getting a little bit dark, um, not to cut out the people from the Midwest because they do play a whole part in this Indigenous American thing, but I am from the eastern woodland parts of the states, so I can only speak on us. And yeah, I mean, it's a bit hypocritical with the whole feature thing because the Midwest, they have like a different look, I guess, but I can't really speak on them. So yeah, I know this is a topic, a discussion that people are not going to see eye to eye with, like I said earlier, and that is fine. But this is my take on the whole skin tone and feature thing. And yeah,